In regards to the 30-minute gap of communication, how can you explain the 30-minute gap from what you learned, and what could you say to the public to assure them that any information about that 30 minutes has been made available?
Essentially, and I think that stated in there, the Granite Mountain crew left what we call the lunch spot up on the map about 1604. And as you read the report, the first time that you hear from them again is 1637. So there's a period that they're moving, that they haven't radioed in, and then there was no communications. That there was no communications back and forth. And this is not uncommon. Fire resources were moving out of Yarnell operations that thought that they were in the black up on the top. So there was a period there that we don't know. We don't have all the information we gathered at this time leaves that gap in that approximately 30-minute time frame.
John Doherty, Investigative Media. Chief Willis stated that Eric Marsh may not have been with the crew at 1604, and the report makes it vague about when the division supervisor reconnected with the crew, or if he was actually separated from the crew. Could you please explain where the division supervisor was with the crew at this crucial time between 1604 and the deployment?
We do not believe that Division Alpha was with the crew, and that would be normal because that morning that he had been assigned as Division Supervisor, we know that he had been out scouting earlier that day, and during that day, the supervision of the crew had been turned over to his captain. And so it would be very unlikely that the two of them were spending time together, that he would have been doing his job as the Division Supervisor while the crew was operating independently under the supervision of the captain.
That doesn't answer the question.
Okay, we'll go to the next. You'll have an opportunity later on. Next question from a different reporter.
At what point did the division supervisor and the captain of the hotshot crew reconnect, as best we know? I mean, it seems to be like they were in separate places. They obviously were together at the deployment site. When did they get back together, and where was the division supervisor in relationship to the crew in these critical moments leading up to the deployment?
Again, that's something we don't know. There's stuff we don't know in this one that may be different than any investigation in 80 years like this. Is we know that for at least a time they were separated. Whether they were walking together during that time of moving towards from the launch spot to that descent point to the deployment site, we don't know. We don't know if they were together or if one was ahead or behind the other. That information, in everything we gathered, that's still an unknown.